Economic discipline is not only applicable to individuals alone. Economic discipline is applicable to groups, organizations, and the country as a whole. The world also has to keep economic discipline. We have recently seen some economic upheavals. Those countries which have kept the discipline have thrived successfully. Welcome once again to News Analysis. News Analysis, a weekly magazine on current affairs. To begin with, the main points in a nutshell. Spain budget cuts to total 27 billion euros this year. France arrests 19 suspected Islamist militants in raids. Annan demands Syrian government begin ceasefire now. Mali group rebels seize desert town of Kidal. Adolf Hitler parents' tombstone in Austria removed. Bin Laden fathered 4 children while on the run. Now the news in detail. Spain budget cuts to a total 27 billion euros this year. Spain is cutting 27 billion euros, that's around $36 billion, from its budget this year as part of one of the toughest austerity drives in its history. Changes will include freezing public sector workers' salaries and reducing departmental budgets by 16.9%. The government says it will raise 12.3 billion euros this year, aided by an increase in tax for large companies. Deputy Prime Minister Soraya Sáenz de Santamaría said the nation was in an extreme situation. Our top priority is to clean up public accounts, she said. But economists are questioning whether the cuts will be enough to satisfy Spain's European partners. Last month, the Prime Minister Mario Rajoy agreed with the European Commission to reduce Spain's deficit to 5.3% of GDP in 2012. Javier Diaz-Siemens, professor of economics at IESE Business School in Madrid, said this seems to be non-credible. They will not be making the 5.3 target agreed with Brussels because the cuts are insufficient given the growth forecast, he told reporters. According to official forecasts, the Spanish economy will shrink by 1.7% this year. Spain's Energy Minister José Manuel Soria was Friday's budget briefing. He announced in the budget electricity prices will rise by 7% from 1st of April. On Thursday, Spanish police clashed with protesters after a general strike protesting against labor reforms which are designed to crackle the country's record unemployment rate. Separately, Eurozone ministers have agreed to the expansion of Euro's bailout reserves. The ministers meeting in Copenhagen have decided to boost the joint lending power of the firewall to 800 billion euros. Investors worried about the bailout for Spain or Italy wanted the fund to increase from its current size of about 500 billion euros to closer to 1 trillion euros. But there was a resistance from Germany to an increase of that scale. Thursday, police clashed with demonstrators as hundreds of thousands swarmed streets in Barcelona and other cities. Unions said 8 lakh people joined the protest in Barcelona. Police put the number at 80,000. Some marchers in the city smashed windows and set rubbish bins alight. Police fired tear gas and shot rubber bullets at the ground, TV pictures showed. In the capital, Madrid, unions said around 9 lakh people took part. The government did not give any figure. France arrests 19 suspected Islamist militants in raids. Police in France have arrested 19 suspected Islamist militants and seized weapons in a series of dawn raids, President Nicolas Sarkozy says. The raids were in Tolosi, the home of gunman Mohammed Mira, and other cities. Mira, who killed 7 people in 3 separate attacks, was buried in Tolosi on Thursday after being killed in a shootout with police on 22nd of March. Police have been hunting possible accomplices, but sources said there was no direct link with the raids. Mr. Sarkozy told Europe 1 Radio after Friday's raids, "It's our duty to guarantee the security of French people. We have no choice. It's absolutely indispensable." For Saint Eliza, the raids were carried out by the Domestic Intelligence Agency, the DCRI, with the help of the Elite Raid Police Commander Group, Agence France-Presse news agency reports. Several of the raids were in Tolosi, particularly the Mirali Quarter, sources told AFP. But there were also raids in Nantes, which is believed to be the center of the For Saint Eliza Knights of Pride group, to which Mira had been linked by some French media. It's a Salafist group that was dissolved by the Interior Ministry in an earlier investigation. One of those arrested was group's suspected leader Mohammed Asham Lane. Police sources told AFP that 3 Kalashnikovs, a Glock pistol, and a grenade were seized at his home. Other raids took place in Lyon, Marseille, Paris, Nice, Rouen, and Le Mans. The reporter's Christian Fraser in Paris says DCRI had been criticized for allowing Mira to slip through the gaps, so the agency now appears to be concentrating on people that may have slipped from focus over the past few months. Mira's brother Abdul Qadir has already been charged with aiding him, and police are hunting a 3rd man said to be involved in the theft of a scooter that Mira used in all the killings. Police also say a USB memory stick that was posted to the Al Jazeera TV channel containing the video he took of the killings must have been posted by someone other than Mira. After Mira's killings, President Sarkozy ordered police to evaluate the level of danger posed by those known to sympathize with radical Islamists. Mr. Sarkozy told Europe 1 on Friday that arrests of suspected radical Islamists would continue, and that will allow us to expel from our national territory a certain number of people who have no reason to be there. Mali coup, rebels seize desert town of Kidal. Rebels in Mali have captured the northern town of Kidal just a week after the military ceasefire, saying army needed more equipment to fight the insurgents. A rebel spokesman told reporters they were in charge of the town, which local residents confirm. As the news was coming through, coup leader Captain Amadou Sanoko asked the foreign help to tackle the rebels. The coup has been condemned. Mali's neighbors have threatened sanctions. On Thursday, West African nations gave Mali's military leaders 72 hours to relinquish power. The regional body, Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, said the proposed measures included closing land borders, freezing Mali's assets, and financial blockade. The leaders met in Ivory Coast after earlier plans for talks with the coup leaders in the Malian capital Bamako were abandoned as coup supporters occupied airport's runway. Mali's neighbors have also placed a peacekeeping force on standby. Accused banks, Kidal is the largest of several northern towns the rebels have seized in recent months. The fighter from the National Movement for Liberation of Azawad, MNLA, told reporters, "Kidal is totally controlled by us. There is no more resistance. All army positions have fallen." Azawad is the Tuareg name for their home region in the Sahara Desert. Tuaregs have launched several rebellions over the years, complaining that the government based in far-off Bamako was ignoring them. The latest insurgency was launched last year after Tuareg fighters returned from Libya, where many had supported the late Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. Captain Sanogo told journalists in Bamako that the situation was critical. Our army needs the help of Mali's friends to save the civilian population and Mali's territorial integrity, he said. But he was speaking after Mali's neighbors had threatened to effectively strangle the countries unless the military leaves power. The president of Commission of ECOWAS, Kader Desire Koderago, told reporters on Thursday that if the 72-hour deadline was not met, all the 15 countries of the bloc would deny Mali access to their ports, and there would be no transfers to the commercial banks in Mali from regional central bank based in Senegal. Mali is one of the 8 West African countries which use common currency, the CFA franc. Adolf Hitler, parents' tombstone in Austria removed. The tombstone making the grave of Adolf Hitler's parents in Austria has been removed, officials say, to end its use as a pilgrimage site for right-wing extremists. The grave is in Leonding, 10 kilometers, that means 6 miles from the city of Linz. A descendant of the family made the decision, the mayor of Leonding, Walter Brunner, said. Adolf Hitler was born near Brno, 100 kilometers away, but spent much of his childhood in Leonding. Mr. Brunner said he had no more details of the decision by the descendant, but welcomed it, Associated Press reported. The relative has given up their right to the rented plot. The tombstone for the parents Alois and Clara was removed on Wednesday, and the plot will now be used for a new burial, the pastor of Paris, Kurt Peter Schachter, told local media. The rights holder has relinquished it. The tombstone has been taken away and the grave can now be reassigned, Mr. Peter Schachter told reporters. He added the upkeep of the grave was becoming increasingly difficult as the years went by and the grave kept being misused for gatherings of sympathizers. When asked whether he believed it's unlikely anyone would want the plot, he said, "I really haven't thought about that." The descendant is said to be an elderly female relative of Alois Hitler's first wife, Annan. Mr. Peter Schachter said the relative had employed a stonesmason to remove the headstone without ceremony. It's not known what happened to the remains in the grave. A white gravel square and a tree now stand at the site.